Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with Dashy potentially on the verge of getting fined for his thoughts here on Modern Warfare 2, some pros have revealed exactly the barriers and the hurdles to getting this union across the line for the pros. Aix reckons that it's Scump that really is a key bottleneck here. Scump is such an important figure that if he doesn't fully get on board, none of the pros can really get their thoughts across, and he can't exactly blame Scump either for wanting to make sure that this is all okay, especially given it's his last season in the scene. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Quick comment that Jimmy pointed out to me, that apparently right now, you guys might have noticed this already, if you log into the game, you actually might see a message of the day like this, with a QR code and grab your tickets for the CDL Major 1. Remarkable scenes that apparently Infinity will actually know when Major 1 is, and even have like, you know, the CDL logo on screen. Never thought I would see the day, but this is the type of thing that needs to be in the game way more often. Like, you know, talking about the new majors and the teams that are going to win, and, you know, obviously the ideal world is you can go into the game client and maybe make your pick'ems just like you can for the CSGO majors and stuff like that. But look, it's something down the line. Funny really, because they obviously have people working to produce stuff like this, but at the same time they can't seem to deliver any of the actual good things for the competitive game within the actual game state itself, which is what Dashy and others are still frustrated about, and certainly for good reason. Quick note here from Paradox, actually long-time observer for the scene. Now he's going to become the manager and the kind of in-game director for the observer team, so cool stuff, and hopefully that makes their observing even better, because I think they've done a killer job, that team, over the last couple of years. Quick note then on GodRx, it officially says signed a new contract. There's drama left, right and centre in the challenger scene, and maybe new organisations coming into play, unless of course he's going to be a sub somewhere, which is an exciting prospect. We still think Gunness is a sub for some team, we still don't know who, so I guess we'll maybe stay tuned for that, but the season starts relatively soon, and like the CDL website has to publish this stuff at some point, because some teams, the likes of Thieves and others, are probably going to say, you know what, let's just take our coach as the sub for the time being, and you know, because a lot of the times the coaches are at least former players that would at least, you know, if they absolutely had to sub in, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It'd be pretty bad, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, whereas not like, you know, having Joey Nubsy on your team, like Seattle Surge did back in the day, not being a former pro of course, and then after Major 1 with the prom and everything, then these teams will probably sign a proper sub going into the new year. And speaking of some proper subs, Scraps we believe is going to be the man for London, and Venom is now replacing Darkside on Geo Fellow and Royalties team. Scraps is coming to NA this Thursday apparently, and then SGL, Gintroid and Exotic are looking for one, the same as Morks, Chino and Noisy that Wardy left, of course we saw yesterday. So drama all over the place in challenges, understandable because the cup got delayed, and pro points are now a massive talking point going into the start of the season, because the qualifier for the Pro-Am Major 1 is also coming up relatively soon for these guys as well. Quick note as well on this, because we saw yesterday that you know, the Microsoft acquisition deal of Activision Blizzard might not be progressing quite as smoothly as some were hoping for. Now there's apparently this has been now resolved, because in Europe it was a key issue between Sony and Microsoft. They wanted, like, Sony wanted to ensure that Microsoft weren't just going to say that, you know what, Call of Duty is now our game, right? You can't have it on PlayStation anymore. Apparently they're offering a deal to Sony where, you know, they can have Call of Duty on PlayStation for a long time to come. Probably means that that kind of issue might get resolved, and maybe it'll progress forward, but it's going to be a slow, lumbering thing, there's no doubt. And while that all goes on, don't expect the CDL to get much attention from Activision Blizzard, to be honest. Quick note here from Donny Tom I thought was kind of funny here, actually. So I don't exactly know what they're logging into here, because when they play in the CDL stuff, they of course have, maybe they're just trying out their accounts, right? Because for the CDL, they have their own like separate CDL accounts, and they have to log into some like esports version of the game, esports client on their own PCs. Maybe they were just testing that yesterday. And one of the observers here says, the observer number 4, CleanX big fan, and Tim's like, you know, what the hell's going on here? Like, are you going to give CleanX more airtime than me? This is completely unfair. So thought that was pretty funny, to be honest, to see. And yeah, let's talk about the flanks. So Scrumbucks, of course, and Aix and Ben are having a go at it last night, and really just talking about the state of the game in general, but also this whole union discussion. There were some interesting talking points from Ben. Do we really need a union? What about if we find a world in which, okay, the union doesn't happen, but you know, let's say Clayster or other pros write an open letter and they say, hey, look, this is what we think as pros about the state of the game and the state of the scene, and just as their thoughts on what needs to change and what they would like to see instead, and just get the pros on the same page. That, look, the pros aren't usually on the same page. We see this with GAs all across the place. We'll see in a few minutes time here that the pros never agree on many things, but they do generally agree that they should have more say and opinion in what actually happens within the scene, more testing time early on in the game's life cycle, more focus from the developers on the issues with the competitive scene, especially given like how important the CDL deal should theoretically be, given the amount of money that's gone in from some of these owners. And even Ben said something I thought was quite remarkable. The owners don't want to push Activision too hard because they don't want to, like, you know, muddy the water. They don't want to blur the lines. They want to be that good little investor that gets the preferential treatment from Activision, and they don't want to kind of, you know, mess up any potential of relationships there. So the owners some of them are going pretty hard on this because, of course, the players have told their owners and their management, like, hey, you've got to push for this because we can't do that much on our own. And some owners have said, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll fight your corner. Some owners have been like, yeah, well, actually, I don't know if we really want to do that, right? Because maybe Activision aren't going to like us anymore. And it's like, oh my God, guys, this is just outrageous if that is indeed the case. But the pros could come together and say, you know what, let's write a letter, like an open letter, and have it signed by all 48 professional players, plus any subs, I don't know. And that would gain huge traction. Like, people will be talking about that around the esports world. That would be kicking off. You might even get a video from Ludwig about it, right? You know, or like Mogul Mail or whatever. Like, it's the type of stuff that could get to that level if all the pros came out and did something complaining like that, and it would gain, you know, large attention. So you don't necessarily need to unionize to get the pros on the same page and have some serious impact, I would suggest at the very least. Now, like, Clace has been on the grind. Clace has also been talking for quite a while now. He's been trying to get the pros to do a union thing, but of course, you know, you need lawyers involved and you need to get Activision on board and you need to have further discussions about that. Not an easy thing to set up, and the pros have tried before, and then when it comes to actually paying any money, the pros then no longer bother. But maybe there's a kind of a middle ground that they could find. But X actually reckons that it's not just the pros, like, or, you know, certain pros that are kind of slowing this down, but it's really Scump specifically that's a key roadblock, because Scump's the biggest pro player, like, he's the biggest name, he's the one that people care the most about, especially even the CDL. Like, if there's a decision to be made, like, Scump is the biggest name in those conversations. And if Scump isn't on board, and you can't exactly blame him for not necessarily being on board, he's at the end of his career now, he's like into his last season, like, can you really blame him for not wanting to go through all the trials and tribulations of these processes? But the issue is that Ake says is that because Scump isn't on board with this kind of unionization discussion, it basically shuts it all down. If Scump isn't on board, like, you know, if Nero isn't, okay, no disrespect to Nero, but if, you know, a relatively new player like Nero, or like, you know, any player that's relatively new says, you know what, I'm not really into this union thing, it's like, okay, you know, who cares really, right? We'll move on and get 47 of the 48 pros. If Scump says no, then it's like, well, damn, it's kind of chalked.
We like this more than MW19. I think MW19 was smoother all in all. I mean, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I think they're both shit. I mean, I'm just joking. This game is kind of insane. A couple tweaks, we're good to go. This game is so insane. Oh my God. I was just trolling, guys. Of course, they're like, MW19 is terrible, but this game, come on, guys, come on. This game's terrible.
What happened? Because I'll be honest, like, Scump, I mean, I don't know if chat knows this. I know a lot of the pros know this. Scump was one of those players who, you know, kind of was a setback for getting all 48 people involved. Like, it's really hard to get Seth on that same page and get him to stand up. I mean, Seth's in a spot where he's obviously better off than every single player combined. So it's like, you know, the effort level for him to want to get involved is obviously a lot different for the players that, not that it matters more to anyone, but it's very clear, like, the hierarchy. So, and I think that's been leaked before. Like, I think Krim came out talking about that before.
Clay's talked about it before.
Clay's talking about, yeah, it's just one of those things where you never, I mean, I don't think, obviously this may change, I don't think you're ever going to get all 48 players on the same page just to say, hey, we won't do X, or hey, we'll all do this. I just don't think it'll happen.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so.
It's not fair to throw it all on Seth, though, Pat.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't think it is, but it's
no one's
like,
throwing
that's
shots at this guy.
But you got to realize the position that Seth's in. Like, Seth's the most influential person as a player in the scene, and it's like, you can, you know, it's obviously not his fault. It's not his responsibility, but at the same time, like, he has to be on board. And if Seth's not on board, then it's like, it really. Not only does it affect his team, but it makes other players not want to get on board, right? If Seth's not on board,
even if he was on board, right? Like, hypothetically, say everybody was on board, is there any world where the union can go south and it can do worse than good?
So unions are complicated to form.
Takes too long.
I think Clay has talked about this quite a bit, that the biggest barrier in this situation was the financial part. It is not a free ride to work with lawyers to establish a union, go through the whole process of the union board. Obviously, you got to get Activision on board. There's collective bargaining. You got to pay lawyers to negotiate. You got to probably get some kind of staff to help run the PA, like it will cause dues to the players. The players will have to pay up. And
the other clip there I showed, of course, was from Dashy making it very clear his opinions on the game. Of course, like I'm sure he doesn't want to get fined, and he says, yeah, the game's absolutely fine, but in another breath he says, yeah, the game isn't so good. So Dashy, not a big fan of this title as it stands. Can't, of course, blame him. To be honest, says that Modern Warfare 2019 and this game, not his favourites, let's say. Not necessarily a good sign for Dashy, just because in general, the players that tend to do the best in the game are the ones that enjoy it the most. We saw that with Scump many times in his career. When he was playing loads of pubs, having a great time, those were usually his best games because he was enjoying them, having the most fun, putting the most time in. We saw in a game like World War II, Scump wasn't at his best and also wasn't really making any content. That's been a consistent trend. We've seen that for Dashy as well and other pros to a certain degree. Even last year in Vanguard, obviously the FaZe guys didn't like it, and individually Simp and aBeZy especially were nowhere near as good as they have been for the majority of their career, let's say. Maybe a different story this year, but how much players like the game does matter. And even we saw in Modern Warfare 2019, what probably, you know, that's Dashy's worst year ever. Didn't enjoy the game. Yes, the team dynamic was bad and all this type of stuff, but you know, an interesting one to keep your eyes on. But also, what do you think about the kind of Scump roadblock to the whole, you know, well, unionization discussions? The union thing, creating a players association, just seems like, you know, the pros as they are, it's going to be difficult to get over the line. When Scump retires at the end of this year, maybe that kind of opens the floodgates to some degree, right? Because maybe the pros can then get it through, because like you can't blame Scump not wanting to get involved. He doesn't want to get involved too much in the drama and the controversy and all this and put pen to paper on this. And look, I'm sure he's not happy with the state of the game, but you can understand Scump thinking, you know what, it's my final year. Like, you want to form a union, like, I'm not really, you know, obviously there's a lot of involved in that, and if he does it, you know, what's the relationship that means he has with Activision going forwards, and, you know, does he want to maintain that good relationship with the Activision guys just because, you know, therefore, maybe they uninvite him to, I mean, it would be stupid for them to do this, but you know what I mean? Sometimes these organizations hold grudges like that, and then maybe he doesn't get the treatment that obviously he deserves from them, and there's further complications here that get involved. But it's understandable that Scump's thinking, you know what, I'm not really down for this, and probably it doesn't go through anyway, but maybe that piece of paper eventually got round to Scump, and he was like, yeah, I'm not so sure, and then things stalled, which is understandable and makes sense. So yeah, maybe when Scump retires, then the union conversation is back on the table, but I'm not really sure that, as kind of I was saying that Ben mentions, that whether they need a union or like an association necessarily to have some more impact than they do. Like, okay, Envoy did that one tweet, and some other pros also tweeted, and then Methods is like, well, what more could we do? And there is an argument to say there is a lot more we could do, like, you know, Slasher has kind of implied that they should strike and stuff like this, which you can't really achieve as a collective unless you have like a union effectively, but you might be able to do this open letter we discussed. So there's a few options here for the pros. Obviously, Infinity Ward are trying to fix things now. We think they're trying to fix things, but like, this is a 2-year cycle. Infinity Ward are not the friendliest of developers to competitive play, and it's quite clear that as the years go by, it's getting less and less friendly to the CDL, right? I mean, like, as Scrappy said the other day, is this rock bottom for what we've seen in the CDL so far? Like, it might well be, and the fact that we're year 4 and things are no better than they were in the first year is indicative that something has got to change in the mindset, and that maybe that takes the pros making some serious changes. So yeah, tweet your thoughts in the comment section below. Just this on Dashy as well, because it's also the GA discussion that's complicated. The pros can't agree on that, let alone agree on actually going together with a union and paying the money that is required to make that happen, and having the commitment that's required as well. But Dashy reckons just an M4 living in a Vaznev's world. So he reckons the Vaznev is way too good. So this is the thing, the AR players think the SMG is too good, the SMGs think the AR is too good. I don't even know anymore, but the M4 to me looks like the best gun. That's just my opinion. But Dashy disagrees. Doug doesn't want it banned. He reckons, yeah, we've got to GA the M4 instead. And then there was kind of this thread here. So Dashy says, dude, the M4 is so mid, I think we've got to GA the Vaz. Doug, what are you thinking? Ben is obviously biased. He's an SMG player. I'm going to deep dive and can confirm the M4 is broken and must go. So definitely some serious disagreements here. And Center says out the COD League, but the COD League don't do GAs. So yeah, good luck getting that one through, I suppose. And even, you know, Scrappy agrees here. He says, gun is a shotgun, unbelievable. He reckons the Vaznev's too good. Let's GA the Vaz. So yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But every day that goes past, the discussion on GAing certain weapons is not going away. And even this, right, from you know, Awakening, I love the M4. I'd hope so. The sub is broken and aBeZy's laughing about it. So yeah, every day there's more drama about this, and it's not going away anytime soon either. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.